You ever wake up thinking you've finally outrun all the nonsense in your life, only to realize the circus packed up and followed you straight into the woods? Yeah, that happened to me. I used to think the scariest thing in the world was a 3-alarm fire, but I was wrong. Turns out, nothing lights a match under your nerves quite like a determined HOA president with a clipboard and too much time on her hands. Let me back up a sec. My name's Declan Braywood, retired fire captain, lifetime expert in bad coffee and city noise. After 20 years in the service, I cashed out my pension and bought myself a little piece of heaven. A cedar cabin tucked away in the Tennessee Appalachians, right where the hills roll and the cell service runs out. I'm talking one road in, one creaky old bridge over the creek, and the only neighbor close enough to hear my dog bark is a red-tailed hawk. Now, I didn't come out here because I'm a people person. Quite the opposite. I wanted peace. Real, bone deep, let the moss grow on my boots peace. I installed a heavy gate at the end of my drive, a full camera setup, intercom, the works. I figured, if you want to visit, you better have an invite or a badge. Either way, I'd see you coming. That's how I liked it. But the universe, with its twisted sense of humor, had other plans. I was out back one morning, trying to reinforce the bridge before the next storm could send it downstream, when the intercom buzzed. Wiped my hands on my jeans, walked up to the gatepost, and there she was, a woman who looked like she'd been born and raised in a conference room. Silver ponytail pulled back, so tight you could bounce a quarter off her forehead. Cheryl Garner, president of the Brook Pine Ridge HOA. She had that look, the one people get when they're used to being obeyed and can't remember the last time someone told them no. She hit the call button again. Hello? This is HOA personnel. We're here for scheduled trail access. Please open the gate. I pressed the button and said, as polite as I could, "Who exactly are you with?" She ran through her title like I should salute. Cheryl Garner, Brook Pine Ridge Homeowners Association. We're hosting a nature excursion. I was told this route connects to the ridge trail behind your cabin. It doesn't, I said. And this is private property. I'm not part of your HOA, ma'am. She actually scoffed, like I'd just told her water runs uphill. Sir, this route has been used by residents for years. I'm just asking you to open the gate. We won't be long. Well, that's the thing about gates. Once you start opening them, you might as well hand out keys. That gate stays closed. This is my land, surveyed and documented. No public access. Cheryl looked right into the camera, eyes flashing. We'll be reporting this, she said. And then she and her little brunch club marched back to their Subaru, tossing me a final glare over her shoulder. Now, most folks, you say no, and that's the end of it. Maybe they grumble, maybe they write a nasty next-door post, but they move on. Not Cheryl. No, sir. 30 minutes later, I'm tightening the bolts on the creek railing when I hear twigs snap in the woods. I move quiet, stay low. What do I see? A half-dozen people in day-glow hiking gear, lifting a section of my fence and crawling under it. One of them filming the whole thing on their phone. I didn't shout, didn't stomp over like an angry bear. Just walked back, pulled up my camera feed, hit record, and called the sheriff's department. Yes, this is Declan Braywood. I've got trespassers on my land off Cedar Loop. Got them on camera damaging the fence, crossing the line. They claim they're with the HOA. Dispatcher promised a deputy would swing by. While I waited, I made a fresh sign. Big red letters. Private forest. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Cameras active. No exceptions. Deputy shows up, watches the video, and lets out a whistle. That's criminal trespass, property damage. You want to press charges? Not yet, I said, but I want it logged. I had a hunch it wouldn't be the last time. As he's writing the report, I spot something wedged in my gate camera. Glossy paper. A damn brochure. Brook Pine Ridge Nature Experience. Inside, a map showing a scenic overlook right through my backyard. All sites accessible via HOA trails. Contact Cheryl G for access. They were literally selling tickets to land that wasn't theirs. Now it was personal. Next morning, guess who's back? Cheryl, this time with backup. One guy in a cheap blazer, looked like he'd just retired from mall security, and a woman in hiking boots clutching a stack of documents. They post up at the gate like they're expecting a parade. I'm on my deck, cup of coffee, watching it all go down. Mr. Braywood, Cheryl says, voice icy. This is an official request on behalf of the HOA to access observation points within our perimeter of community use. I couldn't help myself. You mean the private property I legally own? Blazerman pipes up. This land has been used by members of the community for over 15 years. State precedent, potential public easement. I laughed. You even know what an easement is? Cheryl interrupts. We're here to notify. As per the advisory board, access to the Cedar Bluff Overlook resumes next Saturday for our spring hike. We're extending you the courtesy of advance notice. I told them, here's my courtesy. If you step on my land, you'll meet cameras, sheriff's deputies, and a civil suit stapled to your forehead. That must have landed, cause Cheryl's face went beet red. She slapped some official-looking paper on the camera box. You are obstructing a community resource. After they left, I read her notice. Just a bunch of legal-sounding nothing. No signatures, no stamps, no reference to my parcel number. I scanned it and sent it to Kate, my attorney, who replied, bluffing, but let's stay ahead. Want me to draft a cease and desist? I told her yes, and asked if she could dig up any old claims of easement, just to be safe. I dusted off my land survey folder, all notarized, every tree, every foot of logging road mapped out. Made 5 copies, laminated one, and posted it right on the gate. Private road. No public easements. Legal access restricted. Chew on that, Cheryl. That night, black SUV pulls up to the gate, out of county plates. Doesn't get out, just sits. After 5 minutes, backs up and disappears. Later, found fresh boot prints by the ravine fence, stick jammed in the latch. So I reinforced it, changed all the codes, and set the drone system to auto patrol. A few days of calm, then I get an envelope from the county fire committee, where I used to work. Mind you, citing an anonymous report that my gate was blocking emergency access. Scheduled inspection, possible fines, all that jazz. I knew exactly who was behind it. Called Kate. That's abuse of process, she said. Let's file a counter-complaint. That night, I documented everything. Drone flyovers, cleared brush, emergency access, all verified. But Cheryl wasn't done. Next, a notice from the Planning Commission claimed that my access road was historically a shared lane. Who filed? Cheryl. I pulled every scrap of paperwork, old subdivision maps, boundary lines, the works. Kate filed an emergency appeal, plus a public records request to unearth Cheryl's emails. And then, I got creative. Hired a contractor to install a second steel gate halfway up the drive. Solar locks, independent code panel. First gate says, stay out. Second gate says, you try me, you lose. I even called my buddy Jason, now a fire chief, to come test the road with an engine. He signed a memo. Access better than half the subdivisions in the county. That night, drone pings again. 2 figures by the new gate, one with a clipboard, the other snapping photos. I recognized the woman in hiking boots from Cheryl's posse. I didn't sleep well. And then came the storm. Thunder, rain so hard it blurred the windows. Around 2 a.m., drone picks up motion. 5 figures, creeping through the trees. No lights, just shadows in the mud. They weren't sneaking, they were touring. By the time I reached the bluff, 7 people are taking selfies, dropping trash, and, get this, 1 kid unzips and pees right on my warning sign. I step out, flashlight blazing. Party's over. Hands where I can see them. They panic. One drops his phone. Another nearly tumbles off the bluff. I say, you're trespassing. You're all on camera, and the sheriff's on the way. Total bluff, but they didn't know that. Cue Cheryl, arriving in her raincoat, umbrella, and a DSLR like she's about to do a photo essay for National Geographic. You have no right to detain these guests. This land is community property. I just laughed. Shut up, Cheryl. You're interfering. Sheriff's deputies show up. One's an old hand, knows my property. He tells Cheryl point blank, no easement here. This is private land. They detain the property damage crew. The rest slink away, covered in mud and indignation. Cheryl threatens to report me to the county board. I tell her, already did. You'd think after that, she'd quit. Instead, she leveled up. County sent another inspector. Ellery, clipboard and all, just following orders. He drops a not-so-subtle warning. Petition going through the board might complicate things if they rule the lands historically public. Kate's blunt, They're not trying to win. They're trying to drain you. So we went on offense. Drafted a cease and desist, notarized and all, warning of litigation for any more funny business. Delivered it in person. Cheryl, behind her desk, tried to look tough. On the drive back, I found blue trail markers hammered onto street signs, pointing into my woods, like breadcrumbs for the clueless. Took photos, filed a complaint, attached every piece of evidence, every map, every drone video. And then, because why not, I installed motion-activated speakers along the ridge. If you stepped across the line, my voice would boom out. You are trespassing. Leave immediately. You are being recorded. Cheryl wanted drama. I gave her theater. The county hearing came, fog thick as soup. Cheryl brought her posse, matching windbreakers, the whole cult vibe. She rolled out a big map, colored lines right across my land. Traditionally used, she said. Community enjoyment disrupted by excessive security. Board asked for proof. Cheryl, cool as ever. Well, it's common knowledge. Prescriptive easement. Kate, my attorney, not to be trifled with, shut her down. No easement exists. My client bought the land 3 years ago. Gate's been up too. No continuous public use. No standing. She even had the transcript of Cheryl's voicemail. Could we maybe use your bridge for a few quiet walks? So much for tradition. Board member Hank pipes up. Don't you think locking up nature sends a bad message? I said, what sends a bad message is telling people they're entitled to something just cause they want it. This isn't a national park. It's not up for vote. We took a recess. Outside, I finally let myself hope it was over. Of course, it wasn't. Couple nights later, security feed catches a shadow by the gate. Someone nails a fresh blue arrow into my cedar tree. Next day, I find a fake trail committee birdhouse full of maps and brochures, my bluff starred in red. Cheryl was running an underground campaign, marking my land for public use. That was the twist. I realized it wasn't just her. She had help. Kate called. They filed to rezone your property as a conservation corridor. It was a stall, but it bought them weeks to spread their story. So I went nuclear. Put together a press kit, sent it to every paper, blog, and firefighter's newsletter I knew. The story blew up, op-eds, interviews. Even a former HOA board member sent me internal emails showing Cheryl bragging about redefining jurisdiction through community presence. We filed a civil lawsuit, malicious misrepresentation, trespassing, zoning interference, the works. Asked for an injunction to keep Cheryl and her cronies off my property. The next night, 2 masked figures spray-painted my camera and taped a flyer to the gate. Brook Pine Ridge Scenic Access route coming soon. That was it. I wasn't scared, just furious. Court was carnage. Kate cross-examined Cheryl until she broke. Played videos, read her own emails, even showed a picture of Cheryl from years ago. Just wanted to see what it looked like past the fence. Never been here before. Judge didn't blink. Ruled the land private. The HOA guilty of harassment, property damage, and attempted zoning fraud. Ordered them to pay damages, over $1 million. Cheryl got a county sentence and a lifetime ban from HOA anything. 1 week later, I rebuilt the gate. But not just steel this time. I bought a retired fire truck, parked it behind the fence, lights flashing, and welded up a sign. Private cabin, not a tour stop, not your damn business. The neighbors came out, cheered, laughed. I handed out stickers. My gate, my land, not your community hiking experience. For the first time in months, I stood at the bluff, breathing in real silence. No spray paint, no trespassers, just wind, pine, and the kind of victory you only get by fighting for what's yours. But let me ask you, where's the line between community and control? At what point does the greater good become just another excuse to take what isn't yours? Maybe you've been on my side of that fence. Maybe you haven't. Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment. Where do you stand on justice, on right and wrong, on the battle for your own peace? Share your story, or just tell me what you'd have done. Because in the end, maybe the real wilds aren't in the forest, they're wherever people think the rules don't apply to them.